Thanks very much for having us here today. We're going to focus on the Sport Chek brand and the journey that Sport Chek has been on to becoming a cult-like brand. It's actually been part of a bigger journey that Canadian Tire Corporation has been on to become a brand-led organization. And when this is over, Susan O'Brien from Canadian Tire will be actually presenting downstairs, and she's going to do a great job. One of the smartest marketers I've ever had a chance to work with. Who here has heard the term Valley Juice? So if you spend time in Palo Alto and you go down, you see the Google folks and the Facebook folks, and you visit Twitter and you go see Adobe, you spend a few days down there, and this happened to me a few years ago, and you come back completely jacked up. Completely jacked up. And I came back, I remember a few years ago, I stormed back into the organization, and I said, okay, it's time to shift budgets. We have to shift from old to new. We have to go from print to digital. I was completely pumped, crickets. And everyone just looked at me. We're an organization that prints 26 billion flyer pages a year, right? 12 million households a week get the Canadian Tire flyer. And in retail, flyer is like it's the crack cocaine of retail. The entire business is built on it. And the organization wasn't ready. So a helpful caution for some of you, you're going to get a lot of brand juice in the next few days. And you put in a room great marketers, great agencies, great suppliers. We talk about brand, we talk about content, we talk about relevance. Then we all go home, jacked on the brand juice. We go in to see our bosses and we say we have to invest in the brand. We have to be a brand-led organization. And the large majority of companies in this country will smile and think or either say, bullshit. Because at the end of the day, the large majority of companies, if given $1, would spend that dollar on an immediate sale rather than building a long-term brand. So 9 years in politics for me. I worked for Frank McKenna, I worked for Jean Chrétien, I worked for Dalton McGuinty, 6 years in agency, 6 years in the private sector. I've seen very, very few companies that truly believe in building the brand. Now, fortunately, the Cult Gathering has brought together many of the greatest brands in North America who believe in being brand-led, who believe that investing in brand is part of a core business strategy. What I want to do today is investigate a little bit the difference between those that believe that investing in brand is bullshit versus investing in brand is core to your business strategy. Now, Canadian Tire, Sport Chek, have a deep-rooted culture in sport. And we've used sport to help build our brand. We've invested in sport from the playground to the podium. We're partnered with the Canadian Olympic Committee. In fact, we have 140 different sports partnerships involving either properties or athletes. So we do a lot with the Toronto Raptors, who, as you all know, have caught fire in the last year or two. They've used Drake to help build their brand. So when I saw this sign from one of Drake's old albums, it struck me. Most organizations start building brand from the bottom. Most organizations rely on many of you, rely on marketers, communicators, to advocate for investing in the brand. Critically different is organizations that start from the top and make it a C-suite priority. And I truly believe that organizations that don't do that will never truly be a brand-led organization. About 3 years ago, Canadian Tire Corporation decided to be a brand-led organization and did more than just pay lip service to it, and did more than just simple marketing. Our CEO established a committee of our board of directors. Now, we have a very conservative board of directors, and we have an audit committee, we have a human resources committee. We have very few committees. We established a brand committee of the board of directors. And that brand committee met with us and said, we want to establish metrics which we're going to judge all of you executives on related to the strength of the brand. And we're going to tie your compensation to the success and strength of the brand. And you're going to come before this committee of the board once a quarter, and you're going to show us common metrics and common tracking and results on how you're building and protecting the brand. And if you do a good job, we will pay you. And if you do a bad job, you will not be paid. And they took a very, very wide view of brand. Brand is not marketing to them. Brand is how the community views the organization, how we source products. Canadian Tire owns Marks. Canadian Tire owns Sport Chek, Sports Experts, National Sports, Pro Hockey Life, Atmosphere. We're making products in Bangladesh and India and others. So where we source products and how we source products is very important to our brand. Our customer service is extremely important to our brand. The quality of our product is very important. Our CEO one day bought a Yardworks hose, took it to his house, plugged it in to wash his car. He's a big car guy. The hose broke and flooded his garage. And he brought it back in not angry because the hose broke, because he saw it as a complete breakdown of the brand. That's a private label that we are proud of. And the product quality was bad. And he ripped through the organization, not over a hose, but over the fact that no one cared enough to make sure that we had hoses that didn't break. And he began to change the culture of a brand-led organization. As I now look at companies who believe in being brand-led versus those that don't, I think there's a few insights I'd like to take you through. And the first is deciding, who do you want to win with? And this is a very, very deliberate decision. Our board said, we want to actually identify 8 different audiences that we want you to win with on brand. We care, obviously, what customers think about the brand. We care what our employees feel about the brand as a place and culture to work. We employ 85,000 people in the country. We care how our investors view the brand. We care how the media views the brand. We have extremely important vendors, suppliers, partners that we care a lot about. And we have competitors that are well known for beating up their vendors, and our brand is not that. We care about how the government views our brand. On any given day, we have more than 150 ongoing government relation issues across the entire company. We care how our store franchisees view the brand and our community partners. So with the board, we sat down and established metrics that would cut across all business units, that would decide and measure how those 8 audiences think about us, feel about us, and what they do about us. And one of the most important questions that we put was, how much do you want to see this company succeed in the future? Because that gets to the heart of an emotional connection with the customer. So for today, we're going to specifically focus on Sport Chek and specifically focus on customers. So as a brand, we now survey 6,000 customers a quarter, every quarter. It's 2,000 people a month. And when we did that, and we began to segment who we want to win with, we found at Sport Chek about 2 years ago that just 29% of the country is driving 57% of the spend in the sporting categories that we play in: apparel, footwear, hard goods. So we made a deliberate decision to win at all costs with this 29% of the population, to the absolute exclusion of all others. And the only filter that we would look at the brand through is how this 29% viewed the brand, because they drove all of the investment. And what we discovered is that the trigger for that 29% who we call achievers, who are higher educated, play a lot of sports, are far more urban, is the emotional connection to those achievers is inspiration. Achievers want to be better. They want to think more clearly. They want to feel better. They want to look better. They want to perform better. So for the first time in years, the Sport Chek brand took on purpose. Many of you have seen the Simon Sinek video on the importance of purpose. Sport Chek for years didn't have a true purpose in their soul. They were simply a store that sold a bunch of stuff tried to sell more next year than this year. The purpose of the Sport Chek brand, which infiltrated everything in the culture, infiltrated HR, infiltrated merchandise, infiltrated store operations, is our purpose is to provide inspiration for a better you. And we started shifting millions and millions of our marketing dollars from tactical advertising messages to brand building. We invested in athletes, we invested in sports, and for the last 2 years, anything you've seen on TV or digital has largely been brand building. I'll show you now the spot that started, in fact, just yesterday, which shows an undercurrent of training, which is something you're going to see us play for the next couple of years. You'll see Kyle Lowry in the spot from the Raptors, which we just signed. You'll see Christine St. Clair. You'll see Rosie McLennan, the trampolinist, our only gold medal from London. You'll see Stephen Stamkos, who was signed. You'll see the Canadian Olympic Committee that we're a partner with, the Canadian Paralympic Committee. And what we found is we have people that shop with us that love yoga. We have people that shop with us that are outdoor enthusiasts that just want to go canoeing. If we tried to build marketing and advertising to suit everyone's needs, we would satisfy no one. So everything we've done for the last 2 years, including this spot, is designed to blow away that 29%.
That's it, Stammer. Let's go. Pick it up. Pick it up here.
So everything you've seen out of Sport Chek from the last 2 years has reflected that kind of a brand look and feel. Then we attacked the single biggest part of our marketing, the flyer. I hate flyers. I hate them. We know for a fact that only 17% of that 29% that we're targeting actually read the flyer. And we spend more than $20 million a year still pumping out paper flyers, because it's all we've ever done for 30 years at Sport Chek, for 90 years at Canadian Tire. And the annoying thing is we know that our achievers are very mobile driven. And we have to figure out a way to digitize the flyer, because all of our achievers are on mobile and are living in the digital world. We partnered with Facebook starting 2 or 3 years ago to say what we don't want to do is just put a PDF of the flyer online. We want to take 60 boxes in the flyer, disaggregate them, surface them to customers online where they are, so they see a single message, a single box, a single opportunity, and still drive them into the store. And when we did that, in our first live market test, which took 2 years to get to, we pulled all print out of the market for a week, put all of those dollars into digital, and we drove a 16% lift in sales that week over the week the previous year. Now, to get to that was extremely painful. The merchants didn't believe it. Everyone thought we were going to tank the business. Finance actually saved up a charge that they thought we would have to take for tanking the business for an entire week. We would go out, and Frederick Lecoq and the FGL team would go out and run digital in Edmonton but not Calgary, and Edmonton would be up. Then they'd run digital in Calgary but not Edmonton, Calgary would be up. They'd do GTA and not the rest of Ontario, and GTA would be up. It took 2 years to crack the culture of Sport Chek, even with all the data, to get them to move to just one digital flyer. We've now done 5 or 6 digital flyers. Every single one of them has produced better sales results than the average sales results of a paper flyer. And this year we have shifted 40 to 45% of our print spend into digital, and it's my pure objective to next year be the last year that Sport Chek ever prints a regular paper flyer, because at the end of the day, we know it works. We then shifted our view over to looking at content and how we use content. And again, we leveraged our relationship with Facebook, who informed us a few months before Christmas, you know, the autoplay function in Facebook, the autoplay video. So Facebook told us the average view time of an autoplay video is about 7 to 10 seconds. And about 2/3 of people don't even turn on the sound. So the marketers I was with in that room freaked out. They're like, well, that's a useless platform you've given us. I've got 30 and 60-second ads, and what do I do when people stop watching my ads after 10 seconds? Frederick and the team went out and said, well, if that's how people are consuming media, and we know that's how our consumers are consuming media, let's create 7-second advertising that doesn't need sound. It's the modern silent movie. And certainly an exciting brand, still a price and item message. And these are all examples of what you would have seen for 7 seconds in your Facebook feed during Black Friday and during Boxing Day. And again, it's not about driving brand or driving digital for the sake of it. It does have to have a business result. It's a business strategy. So we took 100 products that we were promoting, let the merchants pick the same products that we always would have promoted. And we built this type of video on 50, and we had no video on the other 50. And when we ran this for, frankly, just $300,000 or $400,000 on Black Friday, there was a 57% lift in the sell-through of the products with video compared to those without video. We did it again at Boxing Day. There was a 69% lift in the sell-through of products with video than without video, because we know that our customers are there and they're being engaged and it's on brand. We then turned and attacked like the dungeon of retail, bricks and mortar retail. And people will build stores and then leave them. And you end up in the worst stores with burned out lights and ripped carpet and old fixtures. And bricks and mortar can be a very uninspiring place. And we knew that to connect with our customer, to be a brand-led organization, we had to inject inspiration into bricks and mortar retail. This is the West Edmonton Mall store, which is 78,000 square feet. We built it with 470 digital screens in it. It is running 280 different channels of content simultaneously. We had to build an entire production studio in our home office to run it. We have RFID products that you can bring up in front of the screen. We have custom fitting for ski boots, for baseball gloves, for golf clubs, for bikes, custom tuning on skis. We're now shooting custom content for the stores. We have put in a live broadcast desk in the Edmonton Mall where the Oilers broadcast from. We just got space across from Maple Leaf Square in Toronto, where there's a broadcast desk going into the second floor where TSN will broadcast down onto Maple Leaf Square. We had to sign a content deal with TSN just to produce enough content for us to be able to feed the stores. And the critics said, when we put the business plan on the table, the single most expensive store that we ever built. We have 1,700 stores. They said, you'll never be able to scale it. You'll never be able to pay it off. We are 1 year in. This has the highest sales of any of our 1,700 stores in the entire network. It has the highest ROI, and we're building 12 more in the next 2 years around the country. And we're taking the core digital elements of this, which we've now brought the cost down on, and injecting it into 60 new stores with probably, give or take, 80 to 100 screens per stores. And this has changed the culture of the organization, being a brand-led organization. We now have buyers and merchants that come in not talking about who's getting the cover of the flyer, but but talking about who's talked to their vendor to get content for the store to push the sell-through of products. Then we went out and we did a deal with Scene, the Scene card with Cineplex. Now, we'll often do discounts in stores. We'll often say, come on in and get 20 off a pair of shoes or 10 off a pair of shoes. We're about to go out the door with a new promotion with Under Armour, where we will be promoting full-price, high-end Under Armour items, but we'll be giving you a free movie if you spend more than $100 with Under Armour. Still costs us $10 either way, but a consumer proposition that says, buy a $100 shoe, get a free movie, is better than buy a $100 shoe, get 10% off. It's certainly much more on brand. And finally, Sport Chek's begun to attack community. And frankly, Sport Chek is weak in community engagement. The new partnership with the Raptors has allowed Sport Chek to get into user-generated content, be able to work with the community in basketball. I think you'll see Sport Chek use basketball as a community play. I would argue Canadian Tire is one of the absolute best platinum standards for community engagement in the country. At a company-wide basis, we put more than $45 million a year back into the community, not to drive sales, not to drive profits, because it's what our customers expect us to do. And it's funny, CBC is doing a marketplace show on Friday night. I don't know if anyone has seen the promos. They've decided to attack retailers for raising money at the till for charities. And they took a hidden camera into Sport Chek and filmed Sport Chek raising money for charity. And then in classic marketplace fashion, after working on it for a month, they gave us 1 hour to decide whether or not to come on air with all their hidden footage and otherwise say that we didn't want to go. So we went on and we said, unlike a lot of other brands, this is what we do. For 92 years as a company, investing in community is what we've done. The founders of Canadian Tire in their first year of operation in 1922, when they had no money, they gave to the clergy, they gave to the food bank, they gave to the homeless shelter. And every single employee they ever hired, they said, we have a purpose to give back to the communities where we live and work, and we always will. It's ingrained in the company culture. And it's something that, certainly since we acquired Sport Chek 3 or 4 years ago, we're beginning to ingrain. So all this investment in brand, all this investment for the critics, say investing in brand is bullshit. Sport Chek went from years of average, moderate, flat sales to, in the last 7 quarters, posting double-digit comps every single quarter for 7 quarters. And that means take out new store openings. Compare store A to store A, quarter over quarter. Sport Chek is growing higher than 10% a quarter for the last 7 quarters in real sales, ever since we started the brand program. And you go back to those measurements that the board holds us accountable to, that every business unit has to report on. And interestingly, if you look at general population Canada, the numbers on Sport Chek have barely moved. You may see a 1-point difference or a 2-point difference. If you look only at that 29% who we decided to win with to the exclusion of all others, we have moved that audience between 8 and 19 points in just 2 years on these and probably 20 other metrics that I haven't shown you. And for anyone that knows retail, being able to move a customer base that only shops you 4 or 5 times a year, so you're not top of mind, to move somebody 1 or 2 points in 2 years is epic. And this tells us quantitatively that we're having a major impact with the customers that we want to win with and that the brand investment is winning. So we say brand strategy is business strategy, not marketing strategy. So that's what I wanted to share today. Happy to take some time for questions and open things up. Thank you very much. Thanks.